Hello friends, welcome to Exam 4. I hope my voice is audible, screen is visible to all of you. Just do let me know whether everything is set or not so that I can proceed with the lecture. Okay. So I just want to let you know people how to take the advantage out of the exam poor application. Various courses you will get to see out of the app. And first step is just to go on the Play Store. And second step just to find the exam poor app. You will get access of the Sarkari Naukri prep over there. And you just have to make the install. You just have to click on the button for the installation, and then you need to get registered on the Examper app. Once you need to make the installation of that app, then you need to get registered so that you can have access of the various examination. Many of the batches has been launched on the same app. Whatever courses you are taking into the consideration, you will take the best advantage out of the Examper app. So do not forget to download the Examper app to take the advantage for various examination preparation. And this is the lecture. I do come regularly at this time only 12 to 1. And daily news analysis, I do make consideration with respect to the economical affairs. And this is the current session which do talk about the economic consequences only, economic affairs only, on what is happening on day-to-day basis. So today's article is very important, what has been taken place in the 75 years since independence. We are going to talk about this. Many of the students had a kind of query, what kind of question could be formed out of these topics which you are taking in the daily news analysis. So I have come up with the question today. This question is talking about evaluate the performance of Indian economy in last 75 years. You need to make the critical analysis, like you need to make the analysis of 75 years since independence, what kind of measures, what kind of contribution, what kind of achievement has taken place till date, and has it been able to live up to the initial expectation. It means कि have we achieved anything as per our expectation we made for the 75 years. So we need to talk about, I have also talked about the Niti Aayog at the rate 75, in which I have just told you about the targets which has been undertaken that is supposed to get completed by the year 2022. That is what we are talking about, the expectation over here. We have set certain targets. We are supposed to make completion of those targets till date. So, would we become successful in achieving the expectation what we have formed before 2022, or evaluate the performance of the Indian economy? Next direction, just to go through it once, direct context is all about success of the India's economy in last 75 years. Context is all about, you just have to give a glance of analysis what achievement we have formed in 75 years, and at the time of independence newborn nation was highly improvised and thanks to the century of colonial exploitation. Means we have faced a kind of distortion condition. Distortion, what do we mean by? We were in condition of destruction at the time of independence. We have gotten the independence. Economy was totally destructed. We had to make the improvised version. We need to take certain planning processes just to accommodate the resources part, and how we can make the allocation of those resources. Accordingly, we can come up with the role in the society, in the global parameters, that what kind of role we are playing today. It was critically dependent on the foreign aid for food, foreign exchange, had an average life expectancy of only 32 years. Illiteracy was very high. What we are trying to make the point over here is we were in a very distracted position. First of all, we were on a very distracted position. Second of all, we had to make the import of food. So you can consider it as foreign aid. And third is all about the life expectancy, which was 32 years. Now it has gone above 60. Getting my point? This was the consideration. These were the parameters where we were at the time of 1947. Okay. So we need to make the comparative analysis where we are now. Where we are in the today's time, we need to make the analysis. Obviously, in order to make the analysis of anything, we need to make a kind of comparative basis, whether we have improved anything or not. Suppose you are solving any paper on 18th of August. And now you got to know about some weaknesses about yourself, that I wouldn't be able to solve certain questions. And these certain questions I need to work on. After a while, you will analyze again after a month, and you are supposed to come up with the full preparation. You need to make analysis again, that have you improved somewhere now? Means you are making comparison yourself with the last experience which you have faced. In the same way, if Indian economy has to face what kind of achievement Indian economy has gotten out of the 75 years which Indian economy has performed. On that basis, first you need to make the comparison of today's time with respect to the 1947, where we were earlier at the time of 1947 and where we are now. Next point is all about status today. We were in the distracted position, I've told you, at the time of independence. Where we are right now, we are on third position economy in terms of growth. I am talking about third largest economy. We are talking about the pace. We are talking about the pace. Pace plus the purchasing power capacity. How much capacity you do possess in order to make purchases, in order to make the spending. Getting my point? So we are on the number third and number fifth in terms of growth rate. We have also surpassed the France in it. Getting my point? So current status is quite improved. We have attained certain level of achievements. We are going to discuss regarding those achievements only. Foreign exchange. What is the situation of foreign exchange today? Fifth largest stock of the foreign exchange and net lender to the International Monetary Fund. Lender, you can get a glance regarding what level of player we are now on the international scenario. If we have to make representation on the international scenario, we need to make performance on some basis. That is what we are talking about right now. That is all about whatever foreign exchange we were lagging behind at the time of 1947. We had nothing during that time period. We were totally in distracted condition. Now we are on top 5. We are on the number 5th in terms of foreign stocks, foreign exchange stocks, and net lenders to the IMF. Lenders means we might be having a kind of surplus which could be allocated to any other country, whosoever is suffering right now. For the sake of example, you can take the example for the Sri Lanka. IMF, most of the time means majority of the time, IMF perform the job just to allocate the resources to the countries which have access. Getting my point? Means IMF perform the job. IMF perform in the way like International Monetary Fund deals with the problem related to the monetary affairs. And extreme poverty you are talking about is down sharply from the 50 to 50 to the possibly 60 single digit number. Getting my point? Poverty has gone down means somewhere we are on the verge of making equality, or we are on the verge of completing the target of sustainable development goal by the 2030. Next point is all about BOP surplus. Means you need to take out the keys out of the concept I am telling you. Getting my points? It has to be written in 250 words. I am going to elaborate every single point, but you need to choose and you need to utilize maximum information in a smaller glance, that you should be aware of how to make it. It would come out of the practice. Getting my point? Like I have given the question in the first slide, that question you need to refer. How would you refer that question? How would you refer that question? You need to take out maximum information out of the slides, and whatever slides you are getting the information of, you have to use maximum information with a smaller glance. How do you do that thing? You would come up with this approach with the practice. Getting my point? So, strong fundamental and the BOP surplus you are talking about. India is the rare Asian country persistent current account deficit. Deficit is not always a negative indicator for any economy. It is just making a sense that we are making spending on the imports, or we are making the spendings on expenditures. Expenditures might be just to make upgradation in the country, just to make the fulfillment in the growth criteria, welfare perspective, anything it could be. If we are taking loan for the perspective of growth of the economy, for the perspective of raising the welfare scenario, there is nothing wrong in it. Getting my point? Then deficit point or deficit indicator would be considered as the positive signal or the optimal signal, we can say. It is not always a negative signal. Getting my point? It is not always a negative signal. It is just what is the meaning of it? Import and the import would be greater than in this sense, or import might be undertaken just to fulfill the criteria. Okay? Strong fundamental of economy. Foreign investment is confident even with twin deficit. Fiscal and external growth of economy by demography, dynamism can play for deficit. Whatever strong fundamentals, foreign investment do take place even in the condition of deficit, we are trying to say. And what is that condition of deficit? Fiscal and the fiscal condition. What is the condition right now? You need to make focus on deficit. This word we always heard. We always heard the deficit term in two ways. Deficit come across with the word first is all about fiscal deficit, which includes what? Includes interest we are liable to make payment on growth. Interest. Second, current account deficits. Current account deficits. Third is all about BOP deficit. You can take it as the crisis problem, which we are facing right now. So, deficit is not always a negative indicator. What I am trying to say over here is not always, apart from this, not always a negative indicator. Might be having spending on growth prospects. Getting my point? So these are the criteria. If we are making spending in the process of growth, there is nothing wrong in it. So that is what we are talking about. Fiscal is totally concerned about the government is making spending. This is concerned with the import is greater than export. and BOP is totally concerned with the current and the capital. Okay. So where we were now, deficit, even if we are in current account deficit, even if we are on fiscal deficit, in both the condition, foreign investors wants to make investment. We perform that well. This is our achievement. Getting my point? What level of achievement India has played the role after 75 years? We can explain it. We can give a glance that even in the condition of current account deficit, along with the fiscal deficit, when the state governments are under huge debt, even during that while, foreign investors are not thinking once to make investment in the Indian economy. This is our achievement, you can take it as. Yes, BOP with India. BOP with India, I thought, are suffering from this situation. Yes, BOP crisis, you can take it as, because we are already facing CAD. We are already facing CAD, and FPI has played a kind of disastrous role after the economic survey has been undertaken. Getting my point? Last year, whatever economic survey which has been discussed, after that while we have performed so bad in BOP. Why is it so? FPI has played a very major role. US Federal Reserve Bank is playing disastrous role for the entire global economy, we would say. It is not happening only with the Indian economy. It is happening with entire global economy, global scenario. And BOP has impacted due to this point, because this is the second largest sell-off which India had come up across during this while. Getting my point? This is reducing our reserves of foreign exchange. Getting my point? This is making the impact on the BOP, because on one basis, like BOP is totally divided on the current account. Second is all about capital account. Capital account is associated with the FDI, loans and FPI. This is all thing. But if you are not getting any source of income out of this segment, then and plus you are also making the outflow. How would you make outflow? Because foreign portfolio investors are now selling out their bonds, selling out the Indian bonds. We are liable to make capital outflow now. In the need of capital inflow, we are making outflow. It is making the BOP crisis in the country, obviously. This is why RBI has to come into the picture in order to make the transmission mechanism with respect to exchange rate channel. Because monetary policy is the one who can make or who can hold that channelization. Because exchange rate, in case of exchange rate, monetary policy can perform better in that segment in order to make the adjustment. Getting my point? These are all about. This is our achievement even in these conditions, CAD, even in the condition of fiscal deficits. I have explained you number of time that state economy we do talk about. They have surpassed the debt GDP ratio which has been targeted, plus they are also facing the problem fiscal deficit. They have surpassed this ratio even. You can only make the deficit till 3%, which has been extended to 5%. You have also surpassed even beyond 5%. So you need to make the performance on that part. So what is other point? Strong democracy. If you are talking about the economical aspect, you need to just go for the another dictionary over here. What do you mean by the democracy over here? You need to get concerned yourself with the accessibility. How much accessibility is there of the programs and the resources which has been provided by the governments? Getting my point? Which has been provided by the governments. This is what we are trying to make the association with. If you are getting any word in the economics regarding the democracy, means there should be hold of people. How would you hold people? By making the accessibility of the resources on the economical part. This should be the better definition of the same. And India has witnessed the bloodless, peaceful transfer of power 16 times. These all are the political approach. I am just going to discuss only the economical aspects. Higher exports, you can take it as you have performed so well if you are making comparison with 1947. Getting my point? If you are making comparison with 1947, you might have what? You have already improved in that scenario, because you have improved not only in mechanization service. You are considering, like, India is considered as the software hub in the entire world. Means we are performing so good at it. Next point is all about high remittances. India is performing so good in the remittances, inbound remittances, strengthen the Indian economy. Why is it so? Why remittances is so important with respect to India? You need to make the consideration of this point. I would like to make the explanation of remittances. US has attained the top position over the after the UAE. United Arab Emirates. After the UAE, USA has attained the top position in case of remittances. And remittances, you have to just consider this remittances point in terms of inflow, that you are receiving amount. If you are receiving amount at the time of need, suppose in this duration, at this point of time for the Indian economy, if you are receiving large amount of remittances, you could have make the utilization of these remittances just to make repayments, which is need of hour for the time being. Getting my point? This is what we are trying to elaborate over here is remittances. You have to just consider this as the inflow, and USA has acquired the topmost position after the UAE. Plus, what about the Gulf nation which used to perform so well in the remittances, which has gone down by 50%, then after 30%. After the 16-17, it has gone down to 30%. Considerably, it is making declining trend. If we do talk about what level of remittances we are receiving out of the Gulf countries. Next point you need to make consideration of, since we are making the declining trend in the Gulf nation, you need to make the understanding regarding the Kerala. Kerala used to be the topmost recipient of the remittances, if you might have heard of. It used to be. Now it is not. It used to be the topmost remittances recipient of Indian economy. Now this place has been acquired by the Maharashtra. This place has been acquired by the Maharashtra, and you can just make a link over here because they used to get earning. They used to earn from the Gulf countries. Kerala was totally interlinked with the Gulf countries. If we are declining the remittances from the Gulf countries that used to make contribution in the Kerala, if these are going down, obviously remittances of Kerala has to go down. Getting my point? Therefore, this place has been acquired by the Maharashtra. I hope this is very much clear. You can just make a point regarding Gulf, Kerala and the Maharashtra, and this is the one of the most important point. You would get shocked to know that remittances could also be treated in the economy to the extent which can take the economy out of the crisis situation, out of the pandemic situation. This much major role has to be played by remittances. Getting my point? These are the major role which are being played by the remittances. Proliferation of the unicorns, we are performing on the top third rank in terms of software transitions and transitional formation we are making. Again, we are coming under the topmost position if we do talk about startups, if we do talk about unicorns. Consistent growth in agriculture, as our economy is agrarian economy, consistent growth we are looking at, and we are also making the transformations and transferability in the approaches like MSP, which is making like just before 5 to 6 days before, I have made the analysis of MSP, where we are trying to come up with the new approaches in case of minimum support price. Who determines this? CACP, you might have heard of. On the same time lag, they have taken place on the same edge in order to make contribution in the green agriculture, like green revolution. We have come up with the approach MSP in order to incentivize the farmers, and in order to make calculation of cost and prices of the agrarian product, we have set the commission for agriculture of cost and prices. Next point is all about, if we are making the transformation in MSP, that should be in such a way that is going to lure, or that is going to spread the base for the diversification, as we are facing a lot fluctuation in the agricultural domain, since it is making totally this is making reliance on the climatic changes, which is continuously making changes in the scenario. It has to make fluctuation, obviously. Agricultural product has to make a consideration, because it is dependent on that kind of variable which keep on fluctuating. Getting my point? So MSP should be set up in such a way that diversification could be strengthened. Diversification could be strengthened. In that way, we need to make the exploration in this segment. Diversification, what do we talk about? The diversification means this is MSP is for the time being, right now MSP is only limited to the 23 commodities or 23 crops, and farmers are making themselves limited to this much of segment. We have potential to grow more than hundreds of crops, but we are not doing so. We are not moving towards the diversification. As if we are moving towards this principle, means we need to get along with the fluctuating part, we need to get along with the instability part. Food processing to support, yes. What food processing? Yes, we are also working hard towards the food processing unit, as it is making the major contribution in the labor intensive sectors. Like, we have divided our labors into the segment unskilled, semi-skilled, skilled. So we are trying to make a shift of labor towards the food processing industries, and we are also making the contribution in the food processing unit, that labor intensive sector could be generated in the same segment. Like, it is, as it is related to the agrarian part only, no, we are trying to make the infrastructure in such a way in the food processing industry that could absorb more and more labor, and which are a bit qualified or a bit knowledgeable to the extent which can perform so well. So that the problem we do face in agriculture, in the name of disguise unemployment, or in the name of burden or cumbersome processes in agricultural, that could be eliminated or eradicated. Getting my point? We are trying to make a shift by establishing the food processing units and by making the interlinkage of the higher education with the innovation, so that if skilled personnel would come out of the stages, that those skilled personals could make a point regarding the industrialization, that they would come up with the new approaches to make exploration in the industry by making research and development criteria. They might be having ideas to spread and explore the manufacturing segment. We might attain a kind of opportunity to catch up a grip to the extent of China, as that economy is performing so well in manufacturing sector. Why do we want to attain the manufacturing industries segment? for the time being, not for the time being, in order to make the prosperity in our economy, in order to make the utilization of our labor force, we need to work on the manufacturing sector. That could only be inculcated by making the interlinkage between the innovation and the higher education, that could produce more and more skilled personnel, and personals are playing a rocking role on the international periphery if we do talk about Indians. So why don't Indians can perform in our own country if they are given chance on it? They would come up with the new approaches for the industrialization, and that could reduce the burden on the agriculture by making a shift towards the industrialization and by making a shift towards the mechanization. Getting my point? So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to moving towards the approaches which could absorb more and more population, which could absorb more and more labor employment. Okay. So this is the approach, choose growth, because we need to bring the inclusivity. Diversification would expand the fertility or health of the land and soil both. And plus food processing industries, as you people are asking regarding it, we are trying to make ourselves shift towards the labor intensive approach, which could mitigate the inequality by making inclusivity into the segment. Getting my point? By absorbing more and more people or the labor force, by opening up the food processing. If we are opening up that kind of production which is absorbing more and more employment, which is continuously making upgradation on the standard of living, making the inclusivity, that is going to lead the mitigation in the inequality part. What are the issues we are facing right now in the name of hunger, unemployment? What all are the issues? First SDG goal is poverty. Second is all about hunger. Third is about health. We are playing a disastrous role in case of health, if we do talk about. Yes, agricultural, smart technology, mechanization, yes. At least we can make inclusion of such kind of people which are considered to be knowledgeable or some level of skilled personnel who can perform so well into the sector. Okay. So high level of hunger we can talk about. Higher indexes, abysmal, signify the lopsided distribution of economic growth. Health facility is widened. Inequality in income, wealth, access of quality of education, health facility. In order to mitigate this point, I have told you yesterday, in order to make the upliftment, in order to take the advantage of inequality of opportunity. Getting my point? Inequality, if you have to overcome this problem, first you need to look at this principle, political empowerment, political condition, means I am just talking about the power. How much economic participation of labor force? Economical participation of labor force, that is generation participation. You need to take it as the resources. How much resources you are holding in your hands. Third is all about performance on the health sector, because this is going to lead the capacity of labor force. Education is going to spread. Education is what? Education is all about awareness. is about spread. You are spreading the idea. Okay, these are the parameters you need to work on. You can come out of the situation. First is all about political segment, which is establishing the power. Second is all about economic participation, how much resources you are holding. Third is all about health. These four principles are playing the role in order to make the economy developed. If you are playing so well in these four aspects, you would be able to achieve good level of good standard of living. Okay, so these are the criteria, these are the basic problem. Unemployment are making you out of the resources. Getting my point? Why unemployment is the cause of being underdeveloped or the developing? Because unemployment is making a person out of resources. You do not possess any resources, you wouldn't be able to make spending, you wouldn't be able to take advantage out of the segment. So next point is all about was late to adopt the free market economy, was inward looking influence, capitalize on the export led growth. India also missed the bus. Unlike East Asian neighbors capitalizing, they are trying to make the capitalizing on the labor intensive export led growth. You need to make your performance in the segment where you are literally performing so well. First of all, wherever you are performing so well, you need to make performance. Suppose if your favorites are performing so well, where this is going to raise your productivity. First of all, second, where you are abundant. What we are talking about, we are making the comparison of the Eastern Asian countries. They are totally making reliance on the industry which are labor intensive. They are capitalizing the industries which are labor intensive in the approaches. Same things has to be undertaken by Indian economy. We are so abundant in labor resources. We should plan to make projects. We should plan to make a capital formation or the investment in such a lag which could absorb more and more labors, so that we can make the proper utilization of the resources we are abundant in. Number two is all about we are performing so well. We are performing the way we are performing so well in software services, or we are considered as the software hub, as we can make a good level of productivity in that segment. We need to make acknowledgement of two topics even in our personal life. If you are making preparation of UPSC or the good level of exams, you need to take care of where your interest is. You need to perform so good at least in those exams, so that nobody can stop you from attaining the full marks at least in that domain. First point. Second is all about what that exam demands. Whatever major portion is that, you need to make focus on that behalf as well. Same things we are doing over here. Economy is totally abundant in labor resources. We need to provide certain periphery or the capital formation in the way that could absorb large number of population at least. Second, we need to focus on the area where we can perform better, where we can make a addition in the productivity domain. Okay, so these are the parameters where Indian economy can make improvement on. 10 million jobs annually, we need lots of new enterprises to be born. Plus, if I would make point over here regarding the state's economy, we do make point. State economy is performing, making addition in the state economy. 5 to 15% investment or the capital accumulation has been considered in various states. It is coming just under the limit of 5 to 15%. But if we are making the consideration of the revenue part, revenue expenditure, these are making inclusion from 75 to 85%. Means we are spending our money only in the salaries, subsidies, interest payments. But where we are required to make investment, that is capital formation, so that most of the employment generation could be attained, and out of that employment generation you would be able to solve the problem of inequality. So these are the dispute resolutions and the judicial reforms. Judicial reforms we are just talking about over here regarding the legal mandates. We need to make it easy, and is the fastest growing large economy, proud of its democratic foundation, and we are planning to make it more and more accessible. We are trying to make it more transparent and accountable. Okay. So this is the like glance of the 75 years where Indian economy is playing the role. So I have discussed in the lecture performance of the Indian economy in the last 75 years since independence. What is the performance? You need to know. You need to write the context of the 1947. What was the level of illiteracy, life expectancy, and the exploitation destructed part, and the foreign aid. We were so dependent on the foreign aid. Next, we have studied about the what kind of status we are on right now. Poverty, democracy. Democracy is totally all about the accessibility. Then I have told you about deficits, fiscal, current, BOP. This is all set, and this is not always be a negative indicator, because we might have taken the spending for the perspective of growth. Okay. So deficit is made up of CAD and the fiscal deficit. Foreign investors are not getting afraid making investment in the Indian economy. This could be considered as our achievement. Higher export, remittances, I have made you understand what kind of challenges you are facing, that even if we are making spending or investment in the capital formation, that's too in the sector which are capital intensive in segment, such as the automobiles and the pharmaceutical industries, which are capital intensive in the segment. So we can come across with the issues like unemployment, hunger, inequality could get revived out of these 4 points. And this is where we need to work on. These two are the bullet points and can form the conclusion. In order to come up with the solution, we have to work on these 2 points. So if you have any query, you can raise the question. And regularly, on regular basis, I do take class at 9 for the economic static part and 12 for the DNA part. Do not forget to attend the same lecture. Do not forget to attend the lecture on the same time. Thank you so much. Have a great day to all of you. If you have any query, you can just put it on the comment box. Thank you so much. Have a great day to all of you.